prohibiting the use of photo radar on Arizona freeways, with one exception: driving up the penalties for uninsured drivers.
With this bill, we are protecting the right to bear arms,
allowing customers to carry guns in bars and restaurants where alcohol is served.
Bryan Ginter.
Bryan Ginter.
Bryan Ginter.
And finding out just who is this man that every lawmaker seems to know by name.
Bryan Ginter.
It's all straight ahead on this edition of Legislative Weekly. To find out what's on the program next week and every week during session, email Legislative Weekly at Capital TV at azleg.state.az.us and ask for a weekly program update. Again, Legislative Weekly's email address is capitaltv at azleg.state.az.us.
For the bill, but not wishing to speak, Bryan Ginter.
Bryan Ginter, representing himself.
Bryan Ginter, representing himself, is for.
His name is constantly heard in Senate and House of Representative committee meetings.
Bryan Ginter.
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 So who is Bryan Ginter?
I met him at an event that I was speaking at in Northwest Phoenix. His mother lived in the community that I was speaking to, and he happened to be with her. And I ran across the room and I said, "Are you the real Bryan Ginter? You know, the Bryan Ginter, like the legislature Bryan Ginter?" And he said yes, and I was so excited. I asked for his autograph right then and there.
This everyday Arizona citizen has inherited a celebrity-like status here at the state capitol because he educates himself on a countless number of bills that are making their way through the legislature. He then voices his position on these bills using the Request to Speak system. This system enables the public to voice their position on bills either through the legislature's website or on one of the many kiosks found in both the House and the Senate.
I basically went and looked at these bills and said, okay, I can decide, and let me tell them what I think. And that's what I did, yes or no or neutral. I kept doing this over and over, and it got easier, especially with the fact sheets. And then I just started doing it to all the bills.
Representative Nelson, you do have your lucky charm today. Bryan Ginter signed in for himself in favor of the bill. So we'll see if that is a portent of good things to come.
Well, Bryan's interesting because unlike 99% of the people, he chooses to participate on just about every bill, which is very rare, even for a lobbyist.
Normally it's been 50, 60, 70 a week. There's been a couple weeks where it's been 100 bills.
Rather than coming down to the Capitol to voice his position on bills in committees or using one of these kiosks, Bryan does it from the comfort of his own home on the internet.
I'm glad that the state of Arizona has elected to establish this system where citizens can speak to bills on and speak to committees on the internet, because it gives somebody like me, the average citizen who has a job and doesn't have time to show up to committee, the ability to actually speak to the bills. And that, telling them even just a simple yes or no, is a reaffirmation for them that they're doing the right thing, that they're doing the right thing for the state of Arizona.
Bryan is a perfect shining example of what I wish all citizenry could be like. He not only is involved and invested in the process, but he actually cares about the bills. And I'm talking again about the bills that nobody cares about. I think is a great example to other citizens throughout the state about how you can get involved and make an impact on the process.
How can I most effectively speak to my representatives and the senators here in the state of Arizona? I could send them an email and tell them how I feel, and I've done that in the past. Last year, or the year before actually, I emailed the senators, but I either didn't get a response, or the response I got was not what I expected, and I thought there's got to be a more effective way to do this. And obviously, speaking to the committees has become a much more effective way.
On several committees that I am on, I began to notice that he was weighing in on almost all of the bills on all the committees. And one day I said, "Is Bryan Ginter in the audience? We'd like to see you." And then I got an email from him telling me about himself, and I read it on the floor.
He said, "Let me introduce myself. My name is Bryan Ginter. I'm a retired Navy veteran with 24 years of proud service to our country. I have been a resident of Arizona since 1974 after retiring from the Navy." I thought that somebody was having a big time going around and thought this was really funny to continue. This man sounds to me like he is a citizen who has every right, and maybe we will sooner or later start seeing more people do this.
House will please come to order. Clerk will read the report.
On March 29th, Representative Kyrsten Sinema invited Bryan to be her guest on the floor during House floor session.
Members, I am so pleased to let you know that, again, Mr. Bryan Ginter is indeed real, and he will be with us today, both in the Senate and the House, giving his feedback about the bills that we move through the process.
That same day, for the first time, Bryan testified in the Senate Transportation Committee on House Bill 2208.
I'm simply here in support of the bill and ask that you support this bill.
Without being able to express your opinion and tell somebody who's making the laws and affecting the way things happen in Arizona, the citizens of Arizona aren't going to get done what they want seen done in this state unless they tell somebody.
Bills and bill summaries, information about your state lawmakers, and live streaming video of legislative proceedings. You'll find all of that and more on the state legislature's website. The address is www.azleg.state.az.us.